Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:06. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here this Wednesday morning in your nation's capital. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas is going to be our guest, syndicated columnist extraordinaire. 7:05, Tim Graham from Newsbusters. At 8:05, Phil Wegman, Real Clear Politics White House correspondent. And then at 8:35, Josh Kroshauer, editor-in-chief of Jewish Insider. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor. Look who's over there. That's Julie Gunlock. How are you, Julie?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
I'm sorry, are we not going to talk about the accident you had at home yesterday?
No. Oh, my gosh.
If we're not supposed to talk about it, then we won't talk about it. That's fine.
That's nice. Look, that's nice. Now we have to talk about it because everyone's going to think
your dog tripped you. Your dog hates you so much that your dog like submarined you. Your dog jumped underneath your feet.
I might have been holding a basket of laundry, and the dog
and
was
your dog
there,
was
and
underfoot.
I couldn't see in front of me, and yes.
You
anyway,
took a spill.
I'm fine. I'll be on Tylenol, lots and lots of Tylenol for the next week, but I'm okay.
But you're intact. You're moving around okay.
I am.
You don't have to get your
Let's
walker.
talk about what you did last night.
Great turnout for the Fight for Fighting concert last
There you
night
go.
at the Lincoln Theater, which you couldn't attend because of your
Because
aforementioned
I'm a klutz.
domestic.
Thank you.
Are you sure that it's all right? I just want to make
But
sure.
we
that
don't
you're
need
okay.
to. Yeah, I feel like an idiot. Although I will tell, I shouldn't. I should just embrace this. This is who I am. I fall a lot. I'm kind of a
fall down
klutzy.
a lot.
I do. I fall down a lot. I'm not very coordinated. I fall down a lot.
People take for granted the fact that the Earth's rotation is happening at such a rapid rate, and it's hard to sort of keep your footing all the time. If you think about how fast the planet is spinning and hurtling through space, you actually recognize that it's gravity is a challenging thing, and so I'm with you.
Thank you very much. I think
support
you.
you on
Yeah.
this.
I want you to know that my entire family. I live with all men and boys. Everyone laughed at me. Nobody was very sympathetic. I just want you to know that that's
gain
what it's
even
like.
more respect for them. You
Yes.
got to laugh at these things.
Yes, you do.
Well, Meredith hurt herself pretty badly last year.
That's right. She did.
And she was in a boot. She had hairline fractures. She's still going through physical therapy, and it involved a spill down the stairs. And
yeah, mine was. Well, I will tell you, I thought mine was that bad. I was a big drama queen about it, but according to I went to urgent care. I just need to go home and take Tylenol. So that was one of those urgent care trips where you think you're going to get a lot of attention. And
did you get the classic Dr. House eye roll? Sort of.
I did actually. I was like, "Are we related? Because you should live with us. We got the same level of sympathy." Anyway,
we feel
I
really sorry
really
for
am
you.
sad I missed the concert. You introduced him. I saw you looked very cool. You were kind of rocking a very rock and roll outfit.
I don't
last
understand
night.
why you have to sound surprised about it. You see me every day,
Right.
and I feel like I
Right,
look
yeah.
kind of cool.
Well,
It was lovely. It was a great night, and he's just John Androsik's such a great musician, and he played great songs. And I realized as I was going, because he asked me to introduce him, which was very sweet.
so nice.
And because we go back so long before I was a radio host, but I met him at an event in Southern California. We had mutual friends there, and he was friends with Andrew Breitbart, and I worked with Andrew Breitbart, as you know, and we went to an event that he was at, and I introduced him. He asked me about himself, and I told him I was in musical theater. He's well, yeah, I'm working with Stephen Schwartz. We're working on some projects and developing a musical, which he still hasn't completed yet, which I'm angry about. And I said, well, this is what I work in theater, but I'm trying to sort of potentially launch a new career, and I think I want to be a radio host, talk radio host. And he looked at me, and he's got, he's just so positive and upbeat and hopeful, and just he's got all this energy. And he goes, well, then you should. You should. This is America. You can do anything here.
Oh,
And it's like
that's such a nice story.
That's John Androsik. That's who he is, and he loves this country so much. At the end, he for his first encore, the band came back out. Get this, for an encore, they did Bohemian Rhapsody. Now
Really?
that's
Oh my
bold.
gosh.
That is bold.
No kidding.
For their encore, they come back on stage. It's like, well, I already sang all my songs. What are we going to do? And then he just sits at the piano and he starts doing, Mama, just, it's like, oh my God, how do you, but he's got the range to sing Freddie Mercury, right?
He certainly does.
So they do Bohemian Rhapsody, and everyone's still on their feet, and everyone's screaming and cheering. They want a second encore, and the band leaves the stage, and he thanks everybody. And then in the silence of the room, he just starts singing a cappella, God Bless America.
Oh, my gosh.
And everybody in the audience sings along, and we all sing God Bless America with him a cappella in the theater, and then he just gives a wave and walks off stage. Really beautiful. Really great night.
Wow.
You could have been there, Jules.
I know.
Our friend of the show, Mary Catherine Ham, was there with her husband. They had a date night, which was nice for them. Katie Pavlich was there. Emily Jasinski was there. And Phil Wegman, actually, our guest coming up
be on the show
later today at 8:05. Phil Wegman was there as well. So it was a great night, and a whole ton of WMAL listeners came up and said hi.
I missed a great night.
I'm sorry. Blame the dog.
I do. I do love my dog, though.
Kind of fun being a radio guy and doing things having to do with music, instead of
kidding.
Like some politician.
Yeah.
Not that we don't love our politicians, but
Now, is he in town for another night, or
no? This is one of those tours where it's one night, new city. Virginia Beach is either tonight or tomorrow night. So if y'all want to make a little drive down to Virginia Beach, it's not that far. It's worth it.
Wow,
great concert. Otherwise,
I hope he comes back soon.
All right, let's get to. Oh, I love this story. We're going to spend a little time on it. The Tim Walz thing, by the way. You talk about the walls are closing in on this guy.
Yeah.
I want the Harris campaign to keep him. Absolutely. I want him on the ticket. Although I don't want him anywhere. I don't want him to even have a chance of being one heartbeat away from the presidency. So I'm sort of torn on that.
Right.
I want him to be a liability and hurt her chances, but at the same time, I don't want him to still. So let's see what happens with him. But everything that we've learned about Tim Walz obviously needs to reflect on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's first single job that she is solely responsible for is choosing her running mate. It's actually the most important thing a presidential candidate will do before they're actually sworn into office.
That's right.
Because she has the sole power to choose who the next in line will be. Mm-hmm. And she chose this guy. Her lack of judgment and wisdom and process involved in vetting this person is so glaring. He is a complete disaster. And now this latest, which has nothing to do with his stolen valor, which is a fundamentally disqualifying aspect of his flawed personality. But there's a story broken in the Washington Examiner by Gabe Kaminsky, who's a great young investigative journalist. We've had him on the program. Back on the 9th, he reported that Tim Walz had repeated meetings with a local Muslim cleric in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, right around the area where Ilhan Omar is the congresswoman representing the fine people of Minneapolis. And this Muslim cleric celebrated the terror attacks on October 7th, shared a pro-Hitler website on his social media pages, which is, I think there's a movie as well, an anti-Semitic movie that is a favorite of neo-Nazi groups. This guy, Zaman, who's from Bangladesh, said on October 7th of last year that he stands in solidarity with Palestinians against Israeli attacks. This is as over 1,000 Israelis were murdered at a music festival. He used his Facebook page to share Hamas press releases, blog posts, anti-Semitic websites slamming Jews. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And Tim Walz met him on at least 5 occasions, hosted this Muslim cleric at the governor's mansion or at various events around town. This is a guy who promoted a film popular among neo-Nazis that glorifies Adolf Hitler. I mean, again, imagine any Republican in any way connected to a dirtbag, disgusting anti-Semite like this. So here's my favorite part of the story, though, as it develops. The initial response from the Harris campaign, if I may read it to you, Gabby Deutsch reported at the time, Harris campaign spokesperson, quote, "The governor and he do not have a personal relationship. Governor Walz strongly condemns Hamas terrorism." So, see, this is just one of those things. The governor he was part of a group. Governor Walz didn't have a personal relationship with him. Well, just yesterday, Gabe Kaminsky, the same reporter, unearthed some video of Governor Walz talking about this guy. And we're going to let you hear the video, and you decide for yourself whether he has a personal relationship with this guy or not. You'll hear that next. First, though, it's 5:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Yeah, this guy's name is Imam Assad Zaman. He's a local Muslim cleric. They are always clerics. Have you noticed that?
Yes. Yeah. Softens it.
And he shared an image of a Palestinian flag on Facebook in response to a post by Yusuf Abdi Abdullah, director of the Islamic Association of North America, declaring that Palestine has the right to defend itself after October 7th. Defend itself. That was the Palestinians defending themselves. Wild. October 7th. He's posted a news item, so-called, from a website with the headline, "As many as 150,000 Jews served in Hitler's military. Some with Nazi leaders." See? So, maybe the Holocaust didn't really happen. All these Jews liked Hitler. I mean, can I tell you how bad this guy is? He is so bad, this Imam. Even the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, even the ADL condemned him. And that's saying something, because usually...
That is saying something.
Yeah, usually they're just condemning Republicans for, voting on tax cuts or something, So, the response from the Kamala Harris campaign about Tim Walz's, cozying up with this guy and meeting with him over 5 times. The governor and he do not have a personal relationship. All right, so listen to this unearthed video. This is Tim Walz talking about the very same Imam.
I would like to, first of all, say thank you to Imam. I am a teacher, so when I see a master teacher, I know it. And over the time we've spent together, one of the things I've had the privilege of is seeing the things in life through the eye of a master teacher to try and get the understanding.
Wow.
Larry, I believe me, I want to focus on Walz, but was he vetted at all? You think about this. This isn't even the biggest scandal.
Right.
His military record, him lying about his military record. Nobody is criticizing him for his service. We're criticizing him about the way in which he talked about it, his exaggerations, his lying. But was this guy vetted? Did anyone talk to this guy?
It's
wild.
hard to see that anybody did. Except they'll probably say, well, we only had 2 weeks. I mean, this campaign has just been thrown together.
They'll probably say, well, if Shapiro hadn't been Jewish.
You want to know how bad it was? This story's gotten so bad that even CNN had to cover it.
I know.
Wolf Blitzer had a panel talking about it, and do you want to hear even their attempt?
I do.
The attempt to spin this. All right, hang on.
To that.
So I've not seen this video, but look, all elected officials go to local community events and otherwise, and they give remarks about the people there, and sometimes they're people they don't know very well, sometimes they're people they do know very well, and so I don't put any stock in this random video that seems to have been released, possibly out of context. I think what we should do is have a real conversation about policy.
Yes, let's talk about policy. All right, now hold on. I don't put any stock in this video because it's probably out of context. Wait a minute, you just admitted that you don't know anything about this.
That you didn't
and
watch
let's
it.
hear the video again. Let's hear this, Michael, if we could. I want you to hear once again from the governor's mouth. Because they meet people all the time and they don't really know them. Oh, okay, so I guess you're pleading that Tim Walz is just a giant BSer then. Let's hear him again.
I would like to, first of all, say thank you to Imam. I am a teacher, so when I see a master teacher, I know it. And over the time we've spent together, one of the things I've had the privilege of is seeing the things in life through the eye of a master teacher to try and get the understanding.
Yeah. So he spent all this time with him enough to know that he's a master teacher.
Wow. This is a bad man.
So what do you think? I mean, this is just the latest, but every day there's a new revelation about this guy, and he came
at the time.
He came back and doubled down yesterday on his. I'm proud of my service. It's like no one's questioning your service, you jerk.
You know,
we're questioning
honestly,
your lies about your service.
Larry, I have been so shocked at how the media has reacted. It's not just. I mean, it's not just this. They'll memory hold this. They'll try hard to memory hold this, and thank God we have other news sources aside from the left-wing media. But I again, you know,
so you think he stays? It doesn't affect him. They're just
I actually do think he stays. I love the chatter, and I love the thinking that, you know, she's got to, you know, they've got to find a new VP candidate. But I think at this point, yeah, he's going to stay. And
every day a new revelation comes out about Tim Walz, though, delays her first exclusive interview with any kind of media outlet, though.
Absolutely.
That's because the last thing they want to do is sit down when all of this stuff is bubbling up. By the way, Democratic National Convention starts Monday, too. So, I mean, it'll be amazing to see what drops between now and then. It's 5:23 when it comes.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
5:36 now as we move forward in this Wednesday morning's rundown. We appreciate you joining us. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas will be here. At 7:05, Tim Graham of Newsbusters. 8:05, Phil Wegman, Realtor Politics White House reporter. And at 8:35, Josh Kroshauer, editor-in-chief of the Jewish Insider. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Julie, good morning to you, Julie. One may think that we may be done with our examination of the troubles of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as Kamala Harris is running mate, but you'd be wrong. You'd be very, very wrong. Tim Walz has definitely got some problems here. And whether this results in Kamala Harris and I'm so sorry. I'm pretending like Kamala Harris is actually making decisions about her campaign.
Right.
Or anything having to do with the presidency of the United States. No, the people who are deciding things for Kamala Harris, one wonders if any of this is going to force her to have to remove Tim Walz as a liability, dragging down the ticket. Have you noticed there's been a bit of a pause on polling recently? It's like ever since the Tim Walz, I've been waiting to see if there's any sort of reaction from Tim Walz negatively affecting her. And it's like ever since last Monday, I haven't seen any sort of new polls necessarily that shows that. But here, this is a ad that was created by Trump supporters. This actually hasn't been put out yet by the campaign or super PAC, but it should be. It's incredibly effective.
Tim Walz wants to be a heartbeat away from Commander-in-Chief, but Tim Walz has lied about his military record for years.
He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career.
Walz lied repeatedly about his rank.
Retired Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Walz lied about being in combat.
Can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war,
Walz dodged deployment by retiring when he knew his National Guard unit was going to Iraq.
Everybody knew they were going to train and go to Iraq. The warning order basically stated it, and 2 months later, after he knew it, that's when he retired.
I mean, it's absolutely devastating, and especially hearing in his voice constantly repeat Command Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major, when he knew at the moment of his retirement, he got his papers. It said specifically he was an E8, that he was Master Sergeant, which, again, is something to be proud of.
And again, he had coins made. You can have these coins made that show your final rank or your rank at the time. I've been given those in meetings with military officials, and he put that incorrect rank on his coin. That shows just such intent to lie,
100%.
Knowingly lie about this.
And then there's this. Let's take a little time here on this. His activities as governor of Minnesota during the COVID-19 lockdown. A woman who was severely affected by his draconian measures appeared with Fox News Digital and told her story. And I want you to, it's a couple of minutes long, but it's worth listening to. This is just I'm told he's supposed to appeal to suburban moms, right? Here's one of those suburban moms. This is what he thinks of the suburban moms.
I'm a hardworking business owner along with my husband for more than 30 years. We have owned and operated businesses. And have always followed the law. I think the worst thing that has ever happened to me was when I was a teenager. I think I got a speeding ticket. Otherwise, we're just law-abiding people like most Americans are. Of course, we all know, I will never forget the year 2020 when COVID happened. And in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me and to my business, as well as our employees. And so what happened is with the first shutdown, we didn't really know what to do, what was going on, and we did comply. And I hate to say that, looking back at everything I've stood for, but we did comply because we didn't know what else to do. He never fully opened up the state, to point this out. Who did he shut down? Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business, but so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores, with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. So think about the contrast there. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living and provide a great product and a great service. In contrast, he allowed big box stores, et cetera, to stay open. Really incredible, an incredible use of tyranny against the people. It was.
So then, after a while, after, as she put it, complying, I told you, didn't I tell you this is Gavin Newsom with a Midwest haircut? This is 100% California values, California priorities. So then they decided to open, and listen to what happened to her in terms of Walz's direct punishment of her.
I followed the rule of law. I did. Our governor and our attorney general did not. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner, as well as other small business owners in the state of Minnesota. They came down. They sent the health department down. They sent everything they could against us. They employed all of their resources against we the people, just trying to run a company, serve a cup of coffee to a willing customer. And they said, nope, you can't do that. And mind you, there was never an injury. There was never an infection of COVID-19, nor was there ever a death that occurred because I had my doors open and willing customers came in to patronize me. So it was about the first part of January, all kinds of, I think it was 5 civil cases were thrown at me and 2 criminal cases were thrown at me because of what I did.
Yeah, that's Tim Walz as governor.
People need to ask themselves if they want to give this guy more power over all of us.
It's also worth pointing out that on June 4th, 2020, while every other normal citizen in Minnesota was unable to attend a funeral of their loved ones because funerals had been shut down by the governor of Minnesota during COVID-19. He did allow for one memorial service to take place June 4th at North Central University in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A wide array of dignitaries were there, including Governor Walz, Senator Klobuchar, Senator Smith, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Of course, I'm talking about the memorial service for George Floyd, where Al Sharpton delivered a eulogy. That memorial service was allowed to go forward. He granted a waiver for that service. Well, if your grandmother died, or if your husband died, or if your child passed away, God forbid, you weren't able to mourn like a normal person because, you're not George Floyd. It's 5:44. But there's more. Again, while George Floyd's funeral went forward at the behest of Al Sharpton, He also called for an 8 minute and 47 seconds of silence on behalf of George Floyd. He saw the political advantage of embracing himself and wrapping himself around the Black Lives Matter movement while he let Minneapolis burn. He was fine with 1,500 burned out businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area because he knew that he would be able to distract from all of the violence by, embracing every aspect of the Black Lives Matter movement. But if a business owner wanted to, defy his commands, boy, he would come down on you. Anytime you're thinking about giving somebody political power, take a look at how they used it last time they had it. Here's cut 4. This is a bar owner on how she was shut down during the COVID-19 crisis.
After the second shutdown, he had shut our state down for 2.5 months. And then in November of 2020, he decided to shut our state down again, just our restaurants. He didn't shut down the big box stores. He opened them up 100% and shut us down 100%. So after about a month of that, when he reissued another executive order, me with about 10 other business owners decided to violate the executive orders, the unlawful executive orders, and opened up our restaurants. I was slapped with fines. I had my license taken away. I was banned from the state for having a liquor license for 5 years. And essentially, I lost 2 restaurants because of it.
So then what did she do? Well, she moved across the border to Wisconsin and took her business there, literally. And, here's what happened.
Say you've lost your liquor license for 5 years. That's only been 4. So what's happened to your life since all this went down?
That part of it, an administrative judge overruled that decision because it was an unfair, unjust decision. So I was able to get a liquor license last year, and I would never go back to the state of Minnesota. I now own an amazing bar in Wisconsin. Wisconsin opened me with open arms and said, I never broke any laws. I didn't do anything that would have kept me from having a liquor license. So, yeah, I've been in Wisconsin for 2.5 years.
There you go. So, I mean, to be fair, it's not like if the Democrats want to pick any governor to be the running mate for Kamala Harris, they're sort of stuck because that's how they all were. But some were worse than others.
But I will say, I think it's worth noting that the Minneapolis mayor, Frey, he begged Tim Walz for help, Jacob Frey, who's a Democrat, who's a very liberal Democrat, by the way. He begged Tim Walz for help to deploy the National Guard. And the next day, after that city had burnt and the 3rd Precinct police station was abandoned and burnt, Walz stood outside the smoldering ruins of that police station and accused Frey of losing control of his city. Yeah. So this is the kind of guy he is. He will not only lie, he will sell out his colleagues. He will run for cover. And he cost this city millions of dollars in damage and destroyed businesses like we just heard. But I just found that so interesting that he called Frey an abject failure and accused him of losing control. Again, this was his political ally at one time. So this guy's a dirtbag. Yeah.
Well, and your mention of refusing to call in the National Guard during the riots, it reminds me, this is the other half of that ad that's been put together about Tim Walz, again, using his own words against him, falsely claiming he was a command sergeant major when he retired, ducked out on his fellow soldiers when he knew they were being deployed to Iraq and retired so he could run for Congress. And then there's this.
Walz disparaged Minnesota National Guard soldiers.
Mayor said, I request the National Guard. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
That same Minnesota National Guard that he disparaged, unlike Walz, served heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim Walz is not fit to be anywhere near the office of Commander-in-Chief. Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor.
He abandoned us. What the hell kind of leader does that?
There you go. Yeah. And then when asked about deploying the National Guard, he says, well, you're just going to have a bunch of 19-year-old cooks out there. That's his view of the National Guard that he reveres and loves so much. Listen, hope people choose wisely here. But again, I want to keep going back to this. It's not like you can say there's a clear choice between these two tickets because it couldn't be any clearer, Trump-Vance. versus Harris and Walz. It's 5:53.